Right. Devlog number 2. Let's see if we one-shot this. And no editing. Because I'm lazy. And tired. Extremely tired. Anyways, proper devlog today. Because last time I just rambled on about an inventory and didn't talk about anything that I was doing. So this time, I'm just going to show you something really cool. Alright, let's get in the game. I'm going to show you how I do the sound, the spatial sound or dynamic sound technically. And then we're going to do devlog stuff. So I'm going to quickly get this out of the way. If all you want is like a cool little trick. Right? So what do I mean? Check out the little green jelly. The sound it's making. The like, see that? The further away it gets from us, the quieter it gets. And then the closer, the louder it gets. Now, it's not spatial, because spatial has direction. Like, you could tell he's coming from the left, or coming from the right, or above, or whatever. But GDevelop, to the best of my knowledge, is very bad at spatial sounds. Well, spatial sounds in GDevelop need to be in a channel. And channel sounds can't repeat while they're playing. Like, they need to finish before they can repeat. And if you wanna... And they can only play once, right? So you can't really put it, like, on 10 different enemies at the same time. Because it's only gonna play once, right? Maybe there's a way of doing it, but even the spatial sound itself, like, I tried it out, and I hate it. Because it doesn't work like spatial sound. It sort of works. It's like, there's no... How can I put this? It's like spatial sound works by panning the sound, right? For example, if the enemy's coming from left to right, then you pan from left to right, right? So there's always this sound moving, and you can hear it louder in the left, but you can also hear it in the right. And as it's getting closer, it's getting louder on the left side, but you can still hear it on the right. And for example, right? And there's a soft middle. GDevelop doesn't do that. GDevelop is like, if the enemy's on the left, then you can only hear the sound on the left. The right sound doesn't exist. And that's not spatial sound. That's just, I don't know, fake spatial sound. I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. It doesn't work properly. Anyways, so I tried that a bunch. And I hated it. And I couldn't make it work in like a way where I can just make it for all of it. All the stuff I was doing. And be cool. So the next best thing is this. That's what I found. Let me give you other examples. Like the skellies. I love the skellies. Right here, the on the water. Come on. I love these guys. See, as one's getting away and you one's getting closer, you can hear the sound like getting lower and louder, right? Because it's repeating. It's not on a channel. It's just a sound being played. And every time it's played at a different volume, depending on your position relating to the enemy. This is not complicated. I'm sorry. Don't be afraid. Don't be like, oh, dude, is this going to be like the inventory thing where it's going to be like an hour long to explain something? No, this is really simple to make. I should have started with that. I should have started with, this is really simple to make. Don't worry. This is just an example. And it works for all the enemies. Right? I have this blind spot here. See, there's a bunch of sounds going on. And they're all working like that. Again, it's not spatial, but it's the next best thing. It's dynamic sound. It's it's like spatial sound but mono. I love these guys. Look at, I love how they jump.
Fire.
Like, how they avoid the bullets. Hey. I love these guys. Anyways, let me show you. Oh, and I apply this to everything, right? So, for example, the fireballs, when they blow up. Crazy. Where are you? There you are. See, I'm going to shoot a fireball at a distance. See, it was really low, right? You could barely hear it. But at close, see, it's really loud. If I get away, see, you can apply this to everything, and it's so easy. Let me show you. So we're gonna start with the example of this guy. I call him the starter green jelly. Let me just put the controller away because my pen slipped, and I like my controller. I don't like breaking stuff. So this is the block, right? This is all the coding we need is right here. And the main stuff you need is going to be this equation right here. So if you want to get something out of this, it's this. Just copy this. You don't need to freak out and be like, dude, I have no idea what this means. Don't worry. I don't either. Just get this. Copy this. And then we alter it depending on what you want to do. Right? So here's the basics of this equation. Clamp means that, sorry about, I don't have the pop filter on, so sorry about that. Clamping means that all of this equation, under parentheses, is going to be locked to this number, right? So, oh, it's going to be locked between this number and this number, if I'm not mistaken. So, for example, right now, the sound, this is the sound of the green jelly moving. The and it has a maximum value of 75. So the maximum volume I want the jelly to make is 75. That's why the 75s. So the maximum volume you want, you put it here, and then you put it there at the end. And then, so it's 75 minus Marie is my character. So this is where you put the player. This is where you put the character that moves around. You put him here, like player dot instead of Marie dot. Or whatever your object is called. Then dot distance, then parentheses. Green jelly starter, that's what I call the object. That's the little green jelly at the start. So you swap this for whatever object you want to add this to, right? So Marie, you swap for your player. This one, you swap for the object. I'm going to show you other examples. And then times this number. Now, this number is how far he can go without making a sound. So right now, at 0.15, he can still make a sound on the edge of the screen. If I go lower, if I go like 0.12, then he can go even further. But if I go up like 0.2, then even he needs to be closer to me to make a sound. That's what you need to get out of this, the 0.15. That's the distance, right? That's the padding you can have. So 0.15 on what am I using? 1280 by 720. That's the dimensions that I'm using. You can still hear him on the edge. If you don't want to hear him on the edge, you go up, right, to 0.2 or 0.18, right? Because this is all fractions, right? It's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 2. and then 21, 22 until 3. So just mess around with this. And then this one you leave at 0, and then this one it's like I told you, you lock it. So just copy this and then alter it and then mess around with it. Anyways, for this to work, you need to how's this? Right. So whatever object you're using, you need to constantly update this. Right? Because you're working with a distance. So every time your character moves, the result of this equation also changes. Right? Because it's always checking like Marie dot distance to this object. This object to the distance of this. Every time you move a pixel, this changes. So we constantly need to update this. And the way I'm using to store it is in an object variable. On the object variable related to the actual object. So in this case, it's the green jelly starter, the little enemy you saw at the start. That's where I'm saving this specific variable. So you just make an object variable. It's a number variable, and then you put this in, right? Now let's move on to the rest. Oh, and you leave this empty, right? So now it's updating all the time. As long as you're doing something, this is updating. As long as you're moving, this updates. Right. So to start off, you want to repeat for every item, every object you want to apply this to. In my case, it's all the enemies named Green Jelly Starter. You want to repeat for every single object of these. Now, you have a few ways of doing this. The way I like doing sounds while they're moving is by using frames as a reference. Because I like it so that when they squish together, that's when they make the sound like shh, shh. So it's consistent. Every time they move and they make a certain move, that's when I play the sound. And it sounds cool that way. The same thing for the characters. Every time they step and the foot is on the floor, that's when I play the sounds. So to do that, we check if their animation of the object you're using is moving, or whatever it is you call the animation of moving of your character. I call mine moving to be simple. And then we check which frame he's at. So the first frame I'm checking is number 2, frame number 2. And then, so that the sound doesn't play a bunch of times, because if you use, this is one of the things I was talking about last time, about trigger once. And you could say, why are you using variables? Just use trigger once. Trigger once will trip you. Because even though you're repeating this for every single object, right? Trigger once is weird. It's not global, but it's global to that specific thing it's doing. So if two characters, like if two of these green jelly starters are on the same frame at the same time to do this, then it will literally only trigger once. And that can lead to some weird stuff where sounds don't play, there's bugs, stuff doesn't happen, damage isn't checked, collision isn't checked. A bunch of weird stuff like that is all thanks to trigger once. So I'm finding ways around trigger once and only using trigger once very specifically when it has to. For instance, here he doesn't have to. I just noticed that. But I put it anyways. I think this is when I was starting to do code, and I was just like putting trigger once and everything because I was so afraid of things triggering multiple times. Anyways, let's not use that. So instead, I'm using an object variable. You just make an object variable, right? You check which frame it is you want to play the sound, and then you create an object variable for that specific object, right? And you tell it if this object number variable is 0, right? And then the moment the action happens, you put it to 1. And that way, it triggers only once, right? And then we play the sound, and you select your sound, and on the volume, that's where you're gonna put the object variable, this one, right? So that way, every time it plays this sound, where is it? Here. Every time it plays this sound, it's gonna check this first, and it's gonna put the sound on the volume corresponding to your distance between the object. That's over your head. If I'm not doing a good job explaining, doesn't matter. Just copy this, copy this thing, put it in a variable. Let me show you. Copy this whole thing, put it in the variable, and then the variable you put it in the sound on the volume, and that's it. You're done. You just put this in the volume. Just make sure that this has no condition, that it's always updating, to be sure that every time it plays the sound, it's the updated volume. Then you're gonna wait whatever time you need to. I put 0.2 seconds, and then you're gonna change the variable. This one we're using to lock it. We're gonna change it back to 0. That way, because without this, what's happening is frames don't just take that frame, don't just take like that fraction of a second. If you slow down the frame can last for seconds, right? So what I'm doing is I'm locking it behind a variable, then I'm putting it to 1, then I'm playing the sound, and then I'm giving it a little time to change frames from frame number 2 to frame number 3. The moment the frame changes, this can't trigger anymore because it's not frame number 2. That's why I'm giving like a little time, and then I'm changing this to 0, right? And then I'm creating a little puff of smoke on the ground. You don't have to do that. That's just me. I like cool stuff. And then I'm doing it again on frame 4, right? So I think I'm using 8 frames or something. So it's good to be even with your sounds. Well, not on this occasion. Never mind what I'm saying. It's good to be even when it's stepping. The jelly is an exception, right? Because he squishes. But anyways, I do everything all over again for frame number 4. It's the whole thing, right? So the only thing you need to get out of this is you grab this, put it in a variable, keep it in a place that always updates, and then you put it on the volume of the stuff you want to play. Warning, this only works on short sounds, right? Probably should have started with that one as well. This is what you get for not preparing. I'm tired, end of the day. This only works on short sounds. This is not going to work on loops, right? For loops, you have to go about it a different way. I'll show you a different time, right? But right now we're talking about stepping, explosions, slashing, short sounds that happen multiple times. Like the skellies, the stepping, that's all one sound being played individually at a time, right? And every time it plays a sound, it updates the volume depending on the position where I am. It sounds like a lot of sounds, right? It sounds like a whole sound clip but it's not. It's just individual sounds being played a whole bunch of times. And every time they're played, they're checked for the volume. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, let's have a look at a different example. What's the next one I can find? Let's have a look at the explosions. Where is it? Attacking, stamina system. Like, my eyes are usually really bad, but at the end of the day, I'm so tired. I should start doing these in the morning. So it's even worse. I can't see anything. Fireball shooting. Is this the one? Does this? No, that's the damage thing. Where's the sound? Play a sound. Is this one? Yeah, there we go. See? I use this on everything. This one does not need to be in a variable to update all the time. Right? Because I don't even know why I put the other one in a variable now that I think about it. Huh. See, this is the stuff that I've been figuring out. Like, I start redoing things and I'm like, I take a minute and I look at the stuff and I'm like, why did I do that again? And the thing is, I could go like, dude, that was so dumb. But as it turns out, if I go and say like, dude, this is so dumb, and I delete it or something, I'm gonna regret it later because then I'm gonna go, oh, that's why I did it. So I'm gonna leave it. It's working, so I think I'm gonna leave it that way. I don't know why, because you don't need it for the fireballs. Maybe it's because it's a different object. I think it's because we create it every single time. Maybe it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Oh, okay. We check the impact. Anyways, this is the fireball thing. Oh, right. Oh, right. So when the fireball blows up, it generates a variable, like a randomized variable that uh, runs a number from 1 to 3, right? And depending on what number it is, you get a different sound. Like, so first it checks, is it this number? And then it instantly, if it is, it instantly triggers to 0. So it doesn't trigger the sound multiple times. It just puts it to 0. And then, as you can tell, I use the exact same formula all over again. Right? It's the same thing, as you can tell. Clamp, this time I want the volume to be stuck at 0, at 60. So 60 minus Marie or player, your object, that distance to fireball impact or fire impact. So it's the distance between my player and the explosion. The fire impact is the item I create or the object I create when the fireball blows up. It makes like a hidden object that's actually going to trigger the damage. And for that split second while it's alive, it gives me the distance between the player and the thing. Um, so we're not checking the actual fireball, right? And then it's like times 0.09. See, this one goes even further away. So this one's like right on the edge, like right on the edge of the screen. It still makes a noise. I remember I took ages just pinpointing, just going like .08, .07, .1, just checking, going back and forward and checking if it still made a sound because I wanted to make a sound just right on the edge of the screen. So yeah, so just copy this and put this into all of your sounds. And again, this only works on short sounds like this one. Like this is an explosion. This is just that's it. But this is the only way because the fading sounds and all that stuff, that's all on channels. And channels can't repeat the sounds. While they're playing, if you play the sound again, it's just going to stop that sound and start the new sound again. And it sounds awful. So these are just play normal sounds. And you just put this stuff in. And again, as a reminder, the ones on the edge is the number you want to clamp to. So the maximum value, in this case 60. Then it's your object, then it's the distance to this object, and then the times 0 point number is the padding. Like how far away do you have to be to make a sound? Right. That was it. As you can tell, I do this on everything. Everything that sound like anything that can make a sound that's, that can be far away. For example, the slashing sound, it makes no sense for me to put it there. But anyways, yeah, that's about it for sounds. That's a little tip of the day. If you want to learn how to do the lava sounds or the loops, like the ambient stuff, like when you get close to it, like for example, let me show you. Like when you get close to the ambient sounds and it starts playing, that stuff's a little. I'm not gonna say it's hard. It's not hard. It took me a day. It took me a day to figure out, right? Like right now, see in the corner there's a lava tile. Right? If you can hear, there's no lava. It's just the background that the cave. If we get close, you can hear the boiling pot, right? The lava, the bloop 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 bloop. And if you get away, it stops playing, right? Now, for looping sounds, better yet, to fade a sound in and out, again, it has to be in a channel. And channels have that little quinky dink, right? Nah, not quinky dink. That's a coincidence. Never mind. Has that quirk. That's the word I was looking for. Words are hard. Has that little quirk where you can only play it at a specific place, right? Because it's on the channel. It can only be that one thing, right? So you could say, okay, so it's to this specific place, but if you go here, you can still hear it. And if you go here, we're still hearing it. And here. And here. It's a bit quieter now. And then it gets louder again. And then we go up here. And now it's gone. Right? Cool. I could be a completely crazy guy and just make a channel for every single one of these, but that's not what I did. I thought about doing that. I thought about like, man, I'd really like that. The whole ambient sound. I'd love that. Like, do I have to make a channel for every single one of these? Oh my god, it's gonna be so much work, but I think I'm gonna have to do it. But then, it's weird, right? The lazy in me was so upset by this that he went to work for an entire day to figure out how to do this lazily. It was funny. At least I saw the humor in it. I was like, oh dude, I'm so lazy, but I'm gonna work so hard just to be lazy. Right, so the way you do this is actually really cool. Like, basically, we're using the cast array from every single one of the lava tiles. Every lava tile is casting array towards my character, towards Marie, right? And they're constantly checking where she is and if she's close enough. And when she's close enough, it's not like they're playing their own clip, like your own sound clip. It's actually a sound that starts at the beginning of the scene. It starts playing. It's a lava sound you can find on the internet, royalty free. It's a lava loop, and it's constantly playing in the background. Even when you can't hear it, it's still there. And what's happened is the moment the ray detects that she's close enough, it fades the sound in. And when you get away, like you're further away than the ray allows, then it fades out. And I actually have two conditions, two timers running, because I wanted it to be um, more dynamic, right? So it's like you probably can't hear it because I turned down the volume, but at this distance you can still hear it. It's very low, but you can hear it. And it's only when you get a bit closer that it gets louder. So I actually have two conditions checking, like one that's like near you and it's louder, and one that's just softly away from you. And then one that's just zero, which is you moved away. All right, let me show you. I'm not going to go into much detail because I'm tired. And it's going to be like 2 hours of me explaining. So hopefully I'll just show you and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. External events. Where do I put it? Scene start. Sounds. That would probably be it, right? Fade the sound. Yeah, so at the start of the scene, we played both the sounds. The one you're listening in the back, the cave, and we played the lava loop, right? And this goes to channel. This is actually on a channel, and it's channel 15. Obviously, to fade, if you want to use the fader, you need to put a sound on a channel. That's why if you wanted to put it for every single tile or every single zone, you'd have to make like 10 channels. And that's where the lazy in me went, hell no. I'll find a way. Leave it to me. um right, so where the whole thing starts. All right. So it's the soft one, right? It's the first. And it's this. So we cast a ray from the lava center uh, at an angle, which is the lava dot angle to position of Marie or the character. You'd swap this, right? So this is the thing. You need to copy this, right? Because this is checking the angle between the lava tile and the player, right? So this is the thing that's constantly updating and looking for your character. And if you're close enough, if you're within 400 pixels, then you start the timer that I call lava sound soft. This is the first one, right? And if the lava sound is, that's great. If it's less than 0.2 seconds, which is all the time, because as long as you're within 400 pixels, this is constantly resetting, right? So it's keeping the timer at 0, which is constantly under zero point 0.2 seconds, right? So when it is, you fade the sound to 25, right? So it's a soft volume. But then if you move away, the timer counts up, right? It goes past 0 0.2 and we fade to 0. So we close it completely and we delete the timer. And that's it. It ends. You can do just this. This was very simple actually. You can just do this for ambient sounds and you'll be fine. If you want to go one step further and have like a little one soft, one louder, then you need to make the exact same thing uh, with the exact same check. Where's your character, right? With the casting array at the angle, checking your character. It's the exact same formula. This time is at 200 pixels. So if I'm within 200 pixels, then we delete the timer Lava Soft, right? Lava Sound Soft. We delete that one and we start a new timer. So, and because you're constantly within the 200 pixels, it's constantly deleting the timer, this one in the bottom, and constantly resetting this one. And this one's going to do exactly what the other one did. If it's under 0.2 seconds, then it's going to fade to 50, right? So it's a lot louder. It's twice as loud as the other one. If you move away, or if you're further away than 200 pixels, let's say 300 pixels, right? This ticks up past the 0.2, and we start the other timer, the soft one. So we never just delete this one. Wait, when do I delete this one? Do I not delete this one? Huh. So this timer is always running? Anyways, this works. But I need to add something that deletes the top one. Lava Sound Soft. Huh. Do I never delete this timer? I guess not. Did I forget about it? Oh, that's weird. Having a timer constantly running in the background is not good. I don't think it does a whole lot of bad. Anyways, right? So on the top part, so as long as you're within 200, this is constantly deleting and resetting deleting the bottom half, resetting the top half. Under 0.2 fades to 50. If you move away to 0.2, then you start this one, right? It stops deleting the bottom one, starts the bottom one again, which instantly fades to 25, right? So it goes from 50 to 25. And then if you move away from 400 pixels, this ticks past the 0.2. And then finally, we delete everything. Honestly, I think I can just add it here. I think I had it like this, right? What was it called? Start, reset the timer, lava sound. Right. I think I had it like this. Fade to 0, and then it ends the whole thing. Let's see if it works, or if I just screwed it up. If it did, tomorrow me can fix it. Right, but that's how I do the ambient sounds. Hopefully that one made sense to you. That one was a lot easier than I thought. So, closer. I can hear it. Closer. Okay, it's loud. Then I go away. Can still hear it. If I go completely away, it's dead. And if I go back, okay, it works. Okay. Can't believe I had the timer running all the time and I completely forgot to get rid of it. Anyways, so devlog number 2. I'm done with the sounds, right? If you got something out of it, cool. If not, here's the devlog. Well, devlog number 2, but technically number 1, right? So I still have a lot more cool stuff. to show you, and tips and tricks if you're still with me at this point. But so here's my game, right? Here's the stuff that I'm doing. So there's this game. I wanted to make a platformer RPG, and this is what I started doing. And I don't know, I just wanted to make a simple game. Well, first of all, when I started GDevelop, I just wanted to try out GDevelop. And because I tried BuildBox, and BuildBox was awful. It was god awful. I hate that thing with a passion. And so I made a little game on there, and then I tried getting it out, but then there was a bug with the game, and there was nothing I could fix because it literally has no code. Right? It's not like GDevelop, like low code or whatever it is you want to call it. It's zero code completely, right? So if something breaks, you can't fix it. And there was something that was broken, and when I checked it, it was broken for years. And it was something like when you press the jump button that they had, sometimes it would break. Like the character would hit the floor, and the collision would check, but the reset for the jump wouldn't happen. And there was no way around this. Like, unless you made little bumps all over the place so your character could, like, bump a little bit and then you could jump again, which is insane. Yeah, you were just stuck. And your player was like, okay, what do I do now? I just reset. Among other things. Like, if you put the game on mobile, people could just, like, press the back button on their phones and they could bypass game overs and stuff, which is dumb. Really, really dumb. So yeah, I had to look at GDevelop, and I never looked back. I was like, oh my god, GDevelop is so good. So amazingly good. I love this. Until the Flexbox incident, which I'm still mad at all the people who reported the issue and none sent the files to the devs. Because finally, after 2 years, like, they actually had someone who, by the way, was me, who sent them the files, and in 1 day, it was literally 1 day, they had a look at it and went, oh, here's the issue. 2 years of plaguing people. That extension was plaguing people for 2 years. And all you had to do was send your project files. And the devs would have found it in 1 day. Literally 1 day. I think it was Davey. At least that's his name on the forums. He got the files, and the next day was like, hey, it's the Flexbox. Here's the memory leak. Oh, by the way, inventory. That's something I've been doing today, as well as fixing all the stuff, because I was using copious amounts of the Flexbox for everything. So the Flexbox broke. So now I'm stuck with this thing. No, it was the other way around, right? So I was using the Flexbox for everything. And then the memory leak happened. And then the only way around the memory leak, because the memory leak happened in scene changes, was, okay, never mind the scene changes. I'm just going to do everything with external layouts. So I swapped everything to external layouts. And then Davey, and that's when, as I was doing this, I was like, yeah, they're not going to find anything for a long time. I mean, the problem's been around for 2 years. So I started working on my game, and I changed everything to external layouts. And then the next day, Davey shows up with, hey, here's the Flexbox. It had nothing to do with the actual scenes or GDevelop. This is a community extension. So just don't use it. It was like, oh. Okay. So now I have to put everything back to using scenes again, because scenes are better than external layouts. Even though some people freak out, it's like, oh, I have 50 scenes. Like, why so many scenes? Just use external layouts. Oh my god. I don't know. People are weird. Anyways, so yeah, because of the Flexbox, so I had to remove everything because I was using copious amounts of Flexbox for everything. So I had to find new ways, like the inventory, all this stuff, and that's what I've been doing. I've been fixing my game, putting everything in the back. It feels like I'm spinning my wheels and not going anywhere because I'm just redoing work. But anyways, so I changed my mind on inventory. I did the other one, the complex one, and then I was like, I don't want it, right? It's I gave the example, the link to the past, and then I started thinking more about it. It's like, huh, that actually fits more like what I'm thinking about for my game. So instead, I'm gonna make it so that you discover the items, like you get the items, but instead of having it like a complex inventory, I'm just gonna have them show up in like an order or something like this. I only have 2 programmed right now. So yeah, they only. It's not like you can preview them without having them. I don't want that. I want you go around, you discover them, you get them, and then they show up in a predefined order. And then instead of swapping places, you just select which one you want, right? So let's say, oh, I want more damage. Press the button, you equip it. Then you go, oh, I want more health. Press the button, you equip it. And done, right? I already did some of the animations, like check this out. So you exit, it leaves completely. If you go back, see? It like slides in from the side. That's cool, I like that. But if you don't know how I'm doing that, that's a camera. I was thinking about like tweening every single like block or slot and stuff like that, and I was like, what are you doing? Don't be dumb. That's so much work. It's like, surely you can just move the camera on the layer. I was like, that's what's happening. Like when you're not looking at the layer, the camera goes off by like 1,000 pixels. And then when you're looking at the layer, I'm tweening the camera to like the center of the screen. Right? So it's like a fraction of a second, like 0.2 seconds or something. The camera just goes from like -1,000 to like the center of the screen. That's why it's looks like it's sliding in. It's actually the camera on the layer moving. Right, so that's what I'm gonna be doing for the items. This isn't set in stone. This is just placeholder stuff for me to see, but I like it. I like it this way. You know, it's simple. It doesn't need to be complex. My game isn't gonna be like the next Path of Exile or anything like that. This is just I was thinking about roguelite, but then I was like, it's a mix between a simple casual RPG and a bit of roguelite, right? So you have your levels. You have your character, your monsters that you defeat. You get gold. You get XP. Right now, I just leveled up. Oh man, my frame rate is abysmal. 50s. Sometimes the FPS is like solid 60, and then sometimes it just freaks out and does this on the first scene. Yeah. I don't know why. I need to figure that out. But anyways. So yeah, you have chests, you have enemies, you got a fireball, and so you have some magic, and you have attacks. You have ladders. Really like this. I love all the little details that I'm putting in. Get your gold. Let's skip this guy. Let's get to the end. So the whole premise of it is you're just looking for the keys. You have bigger guys at the end who are like keeping the treasures locked or the doors locked. You can't use it. Can't open that one up. So this guy is dead, right? Kill this guy. Got a potion. Can't use the potion yet. Got a golden key. It didn't show up in the middle of the screen because, again, remember Flexbox? Copious amount of Flexbox. Copiate? Oh my god, I forgot how to say the word. It's late. It's not that late. I know you can see my clock. Oh, by the way, I love this. Like, she's on the wrong Z order right now, so don't mind that. But I love the water effects and the sounds. My cousin was actually trying this game, and when she got to the water, she was like, "Oh my god, I love the water," and she was just jumping around. But yeah, I'm an old man. I'm getting old. It's like I get to this hour, I just want to sleep. Yeah, it sounds like a wooden door opened because this used to be a wooden door. This is a recent change. How cool was that, right? I love that teleport thing. My FPS is still bad. I also love the little guys. They're just chilling and moving around. You know, they're the little ones. They're not like corrupted or whatever. So I love the little guys. See, before you start telling me like, man, your FPS sucks, it's because of this. It's not. It really isn't. Because sometimes I get in this room and I'm like 61 solid. Sometimes I get in this room and I'm like this, 50. And it depends on how long you play. And if after a while you reset GDevelop. I have no idea why. Anyways, these are shops. Right now they have nothing. Because, again, Flexbox. I need to redo all this stuff. This one's the same thing. Flexbox. That's what's missing. See, like, even when there's nothing on the screen, like everything's paused, the FPS is still like, oh, okay, I saw 60, 61, right? But it's still like, yeah, I don't know. Right, so you have the boss thing. Alright, we can open because I pressed the button. Never mind that. But the whole logic is, you go through a dungeon, right? That's randomized. Let's just get rid of that. And I'm gonna make this smaller because it's easier for me to see. Sorry. Sorry if you're on mobile. I know my eyes are bad, but it's like a field of view thing, right? So the bigger things are, the harder it is for me to see. Anyways, so this stuff isn't randomized, obviously. I created this stuff. I created the scene, but the order of the scenes is randomized. So when we get to the end, like we're gonna kill this keeper. God damn it. When I press the button that allows me to go through the portal, the moment I press the button, it's actually gonna generate the number, and then it's gonna check if we've seen this scene already, because you can never get the same scene twice until I tell it to reset. That way you get variety. You don't get the same scene over and over again, which is kind of boring. So the moment I press the button, it's going to do all that stuff, right? It's going to send a random variable. The variable, if it's 1, it's going to send to the scene at number 1. But if you already seen scene number 1, then it's going to check, oh, we already seen it. So it re-rolls again until it finally lands on a scene that we haven't seen before, right? So if you hear like that debug sound that I have, the pinging sound, when I press the button, that means it's a re-roll. Every time you hear the repeated sounds, that's a re-roll. So let's see if we hear one. Yeah. You hear that? The brick that actually landed on the very same scene we're on, and then it re-rolled. So these are all placeholder scenes. This was just so I could experiment with the game loop, which for me is good, like, game design. You make a little loop of what it is you want to do, and then you just work your systems within that loop. Alright, we didn't get the same one that time. You work your systems within that little loop. That way, when you're ready, when everything, all the bugs are sorted out, all you have to do is build. Building is the easy part, right? Once you have the building blocks, that's when you can just go wild with creating. Like, for example, let's say if I made like 20 scenes, and then I realized there was a memory leak, and I tried finding it, and it was the box thing, the flexi box extension. I'd go mad. I'd be like, dude, that's 20 full scenes, an entire game, and now I'm gonna have to fix everything? No. That's crazy, right? I'll give up. I'll go, no, that's too much work down the drain. But if you make a little loop, like right now we only have 5 scenes. And if you make a little loop, if things break or whatever, it's easy to replace. And it's easy to adapt. And all that. Like, we can actually see, I'm gonna put a counter, like, on a proper game. But we can see here, on the debugger. This is a debugger I made. See, treasure room, 3 out of 5. So we need to clear 5 to get to the treasure room. And then you have dungeon reset, 3 out of 5. Once it's 5 out of 5, it changes the variables that keep track of which scenes you visited, sends them all to 0. So then you can start getting the scenes all over again. So let's get rid of this. Hey, new scene. It didn't reset that time. Like, it didn't re-roll. Didn't. Go. Yeah, my FPS is still abysmal. Is it because I'm recording? It shouldn't be, right? Because, I mean... Oh, pardon me. That's the other thing, right? Like, GDevelop is such a light program, and all of this is so light. I mean, we're at the end already. There's so little objects on the screen, and my FPS is horrible. I mean, it's not horrible, it's 50s, right? Hey, can you hear the sound thing? Like, you can't hear the fireballs being created. Like, one was just shot, and you couldn't hear it. Because it's too far away. If I get closer... Come on. There you go. See, it was very light. If I get closer again... See, it gets louder and louder. Because every time he shoots a fireball, it checks our distance. Oh, no rerolls again. Cool. Alright, see, we're on scene 5 now. Right, so it was 5 out of 5, so the dungeon reset went to 0. And the treasure room is 5 out of 5. That means the next room is the treasure room. Let's just get rid of this. Don't need FPS. I already checked that the FPS is crap. I really don't know why. It's not my event. Before anyone goes, dude, it's your event, you need to do eventing better. It's not. I went through the events and I turned them off 1 by 1 and then 2 by 2, and I checked the debugger and I was like, okay, which ones are the worst ones for lag? And I turned them off and no difference. That's what I'm saying. Is like sometimes the FPS is solid without me doing anything, changing anything. It's just, for example, this room has nothing, right? And it's still struggling. I mean, it's high 50s, but it's still kind of struggling, right? And it's not like I'm making a million of these. There's no objects being created, you know, multiple times. This is just like one particle effect making like one every like half a second or something and then being deleted. That's not it. But anyways, so we get here. We get a reward. Oh, that's a cool one. That gives crit, but I can't equip it because it's not programmed. Because Flexbox. Uh-oh. Oh god, I just reset the scene. Oops. Yeah, I was trying to get rid of the FPS counter and I pressed the wrong button. It doesn't matter. Right? Alright, and then you get a boss. Now his health bar is going to be in the middle of the screen because I'm still fixing the shenanigans from the the flex box. Damn it, worked hard. Luckily for us, we can't die, and he's not very hard. This is just a placeholder boss. I was just messing around with it. I had to make a boss, and then I just programmed some moves. And come on. That on the other hand, that is a million things being created. But those are gonna be deleted as soon as we change the scene. Yeah, it's because every time you kill an enemy, you have a chance of getting the thing, but since he doesn't die straight away, like he dies and then he needs to like fade away. Yeah, I need to put a lock on that. That was just for like experimentation's sake. Anyways, so yeah, that's the whole loop. Then you come back here, right? And then you go back into the dungeon, or I can find something else to do. A different kind of dungeon or something. And then eventually you come to the next boss. And every time you kill the boss, right? There's this power scaling variable where it multiplies the damage. So before this was, I don't remember. I think it was 8. Now it's 18 or something like that. Or before it was 10 and now it's 18. I know the jellies do 8. So now they're doing 14, right? I think it's 75% stronger and 75% more health. So every time you kill a boss, the power scaling goes up. So it scales automatically. So you don't need to like constantly adjust the enemies. You can just do it automatically. And then obviously we're gonna have different scenes, right? We're just not gonna have the very same one over and over again. Or the same 5. But as you can tell, like my health is 0. I haven't put the death animation yet. So now we can just abuse this. I also need to like rig it so that she can't say fire so many times in a row. Because it's annoying. I mean, you can say fire and burn. Right. It gets annoying when she goes fire, 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 fire. It just doesn't seem right. Oh god, I didn't see you. I also love how they dodge the fireballs. I love that. Anyways. Oh, we got a reroll that time. You hear the beep. Anyways, that was a proper devlog. This is what I've been up to. Doing all this stuff. And dealing with the flex box. Oh god, I regret doing the flex box so much. It's like I didn't,
Fire.
because right at the start, I didn't know how to do stuff, right? Like most people. And I was looking how to do an inventory. And then I was like, oh god, inventories are so hard. I wonder if there's an easier way to do this stuff. And then I found the flex box. And suddenly it was like, wow, this is so easy. Like with a flex box, you can make stuff so easily. You can do so much stuff. You can abuse the hell out of it. Right? I use it for everything. Right? It's so easy. And then the worst thing, right? It was bugged. Memory leak. Broken. You can't use it unless the guy fixes it. And by now, like, I'm so afraid of using community extensions. It's like, I want to use as little as I possibly can. I just do stuff myself. Also, I've been glossing over the entire game. And not... I'm not gonna say brag. Because, you know, I know there's people who make cooler stuff than me. But I'm so proud of the AI. Like, look at them. They're kind of alive. They're just chilling. Sometimes they move. They do their own thing. No, they're waiting. They're chilling. But then if they see you, they just come running after you. Or if you hit them, like, they get pissed off. Like, let's see one of them. Like, that guy is just chilling. You hit him with a fireball, it's like, oh, come on. Stop that. When you get close and you hit him, they're like, oh, come here. Don't do that.
Fire.
These ones are harder to get a lock on you because they're on slopes. But those guys, these ones, like, they see you, they come running. Right. Yeah, I love doing AI stuff. The knockback is so easy to do as well. That's just a tween. That's just like, if they're looking at you and coming in your direction and you get hit with a fireball, you just get pushed back with a tween.
Fire.
Yeah. So anyways, that was the second devlog. Hopefully I'll have something cool to show you next time. Like more items. Because I have a bunch of items that actually do stuff. But right now they're not programmed in. I only have 2 items done. Because, again, Flexbox. Because I had to redo everything. And like, I just redid the inventory. Right? And I think it looks good. I think it's alright. I think I'm gonna go with this. Like, you just get the items. They start showing up as you pick them up in a predetermined order. Maybe I'll make a counter for like, oh, you discovered like 10 or 30 or something. And then there's gonna be like a limit of, I'm still thinking, I'm thinking around 5. So you don't go too crazy with your damage. And that's it. Right. So anyways, bed's calling. And that's enough for today. Right. So next time, I'll share with you something cool that I learned. Because I keep finding new ways of doing stuff and new cool stuff. And there's a lot of programming, right? Look at this. And this is like a bunch of this stuff is like closed down. Because if I were to open this with like sub events and all that stuff, you'd be like, oh, good God. Like, this isn't even half of it. I have so much cool stuff that I figured out how to do. That it took me like, some of this stuff was like days, right? Some of it was like an entire day of just looking at the screen like, how do I do this? How? And then trial and error, and then you do this and you tweak it a little, and then you do something else and you tweak it a little, and then eventually at the end you're like, it works. Don't touch it. Look, it just works. Don't touch it. Not anymore. Pray that it doesn't break. Right. So hopefully, if I don't forget, tomorrow I'll show you like how to work around some of the bugs with the health bars or just the bars in general, the ones that move, because you can have some weird bugs with them. Like the if the value is greater than the max value, it just extends to no end and just breaks. So I'll show you a way around it, and then also if you try to like prevent the whole extension from happening and you like update it in a certain way, you may get like a little visual bug. And I just figured out how to do it. And it's just like you update it twice. It's easy to explain.
Mm.
But, anyways, next time. Oh man, tomorrow's going to be another day of work, of putting stuff back to how it was. At least the scenes are back. At least all the scene changes and all that stuff is back. Anyways, so let's just save the project as you should do often. I don't know what I did, but I did something. So you save it. And no editing. Check you guys next time. Peace out.